let's just switch gears real quick and just talk about this election real quick.
All right.
What's so amazing, and Sister Lisa brought it up, about how 68 million plus white people voted for Donald Trump. And not only that, in this election, we saw how Trump actually, his numbers got higher this time around. So even more people voted for him in this election than they did in the previous election. So, it just goes to show that they was motivated to go vote for this man.
Let me tell you, man,
They came out of every corner to vote for this man.
He got 88% of the vote in Louisiana. Even the Democrats, white people voted for Trump down here. Democrats outnumber Republicans 400,000. Not 100,000, Blake. 450,000 Democrats outnumber Republicans almost 500,000. And almost all of them voted for Trump. Even the Democrat white folks down here are part of the Democratic Party. They voted for the Republican. One thing Trump did, he reserved those statues, those Confederate statues. When he said that, he took the southern states, took them almost all. Georgia is an exception because Georgians look at Biden as being an extension of white supremacy. That's all they see it, man.
Well, Lisa, what do you think?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to say that it was quite a hostile awakening of sorts. You have a fall real hard, and the thud awaken your damn behind you, like, ow! Like, it was quite a thud, and it was quite an awakening to realize that more than half of America, about half of America as a whole, voted for Trump. And it speaks to the many closet Trump supporters.
Sandra Dull volunteers for the Trump campaign in Western Pennsylvania. She says when pollsters call, Trump voters don't answer.
They're just very quiet about it. It's like the silent majority. They're just not going to talk about it.
Dull says there are enough silent Trump voters to win the election. Many Trump supporters do not trust polls, pollsters, and all kinds of institutions. So if someone asks who they're voting for, they may keep quiet about it, says Dartmouth College political science professor Joe Buffumi via Skype.
They'll go ahead and vote for that candidate in the privacy of a polling booth, but they won't admit to voting for that candidate to somebody who's calling them for a poll.
Something like that happened in the 1980s. Tom Bradley was the first African American to run for governor of California. He had a big lead in the polls, but lost the election.
Many people argue it was because there were a lot of white Democrats who said that they were going to vote Democratic because they normally would vote for Democratic candidates. But when it came time to go to the polls, they didn't vote for Bradley because he was black. They voted for the white candidate instead.
Yes.
We had closeted Trump supporters, and so who were not forthcoming about what party they were riding with.
Yes.
And so, like I said, I check myself, and I do my best not to put a human being on a pedestal. And so, understanding the natural fear of rejection, fear of disdain. I'm trying to understand this, fellas. I'm like, okay, what would motivate their silence? Was it because they feared the disdain, the rejection? Did they fear being attacked or accused of hating Black people, accused of being racist because they supported Trump? And if that argument is true, then how do we apply that to the, 18% of our Black brothers who voted for Trump? I'm not sure on that number, but I believe it's about 18% of Black men that voted for Trump, and they weren't alone. We have Black women that also voted for Trump. And so it can't be solely because of racism. While racism and white supremacy has a part in this, it doesn't speak to why our own people voted for Trump. And so I wrote some things down here on this, and I will refer to the notes here that I wrote for myself. I said, as closet Trump supporters began to more and more unveil themselves through voting results, it got me to thinking a bit more deeply once my stunned reactions of half of America, nearly half, voting for Trump subsided. Why were people in such seclusion about their support? Didn't it feel like a betrayal? It felt like a betrayal to me. But I'm thinking, what was it? Is it, why did our Black men vote for Trump? Is it the First Step Act? Is that what it is? Is it because the brothers go for that bravado that Trump brandishes, where he says whatever the flip is on his mind? We would do best to find out what the concerns of our Black brothers are, because there is an ignored concern. And just like an ignored husband who's tired of being ignored for so long before he stepped out, okay? And I am saying that this speaks to our brothers feeling severely ignored by their own people and ignored by the Democrats. And so,
let me give you the three names that pulled that Black vote that way. Give it to you, okay? Listen, write them down if you want. Dr. Cornel West, Nina Turner, Bart Watkins, Ice Cube, and many others. But those are the four.
So why Nina Turner?
Nina Turner, because she was the one who said, I'm not voting for Biden.
Earlier today, The Atlantic put out an article in which they interviewed Nina Turner, one of the most impressive supporters of Bernie Sanders, and she was one of his campaign co-chairs. And she made it clear that voting for Joe Biden is not an experience pretty much any Bernie Sanders supporter is looking towards. And she actually said it's basically like eating from a bowl of the S word.
Nina Turner is back at it. She's causing the good kind of trouble again. So the New York Post says, Bernie Sanders co-chair said voting for Joe Biden is like eating half a bowl of shit. Now, her exact quote, and I believe she gave this quote to The Atlantic, her exact quote was, it's like saying to somebody, you have a bowl of shit in front of you, and all you've got to do is eat half of it instead of the whole thing. It's still shit.
She got with Dr. Cornel West, and they held the People's Convention a month before Election Day, last month.
Thank you, Nick, so very much. Lord have mercy, I'm on all types of fire right now. I just want to take a moment, in the Black church tradition, and Dr. West, you're going to pick up on this real, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. This has been a redeeming, hello somebody, this has been a redeeming afternoon through the evening here on the East Coast. As Dr. West said, from the beginning of this People's Convention to this very moment, different voices have been able to be lifted up. Salute to you, Brother Nick, to the sisters who helped you put this on, to Brother Ryan. And I got a news flash for folks. Not one speaker was told what to say and what not to say. Hello, somebody. See, that's why you got a variety here tonight.
Cornel West, he stopped in his track and said, wait a minute, I'm doing something wrong. Because the convention supposed to have been an anti-Biden convention.
Well, it was called a People's Convention.
A People's Convention. But it's supposed to have been an anti-Biden and anti-Biden and Obama convention.
So what was it that they said specifically that gave it the air of an anti-Biden
convention? See, understand, these two came from, what his name? The guy ran for the old man, ran for, on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders. They came from Bernie Sanders' camp. They decided they're not going to back Biden. You only can back Biden or Trump. There's no other way around this thing. So they got this people convention. It was Dr. Cornel West that said, wait a minute, let me step back. I'm doing something wrong. Let me correct the narrative. I'm gonna tell you, Nina don't give a damn. She told you straight up, I can never vote for Joe Biden. Okay? Question is, who you gonna vote for? She voted for Trump. Now, what I'm saying is that the Green Party, Libertarian Party, wise, they stayed out to fight. You got the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. They stayed out of it. They don't like Trump. Okay? So what they did, they used wisdom. If you don't like somebody, just stay out of it. Burt Watkins, he's bigger than what you think he is. His name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. He led a movement on Twitter against Biden. I'm the one shut him down. I started calling him Uncle Tom, sellout, ain't running around with Farrakhan and Malik Zula Shabazz them with the new Black Panther Party. But look at you now. Know what he did? I shut him down. They blocked me from Twitter. They blocked me. I can't even go on Twitter now.
Well, you know, I definitely know the Boyce Watkins was against Biden because he clearly said it on his, he kept saying it. And I honestly, the first time I heard him say it, I was in shock.
Wow.
But did you read where Nina Turner say, I will not vote for Joe Biden?
And did she say why?
Well, you got to go back. When she first got involved with this, she went to the Biden camp, trying to get a contract to support Biden. Biden them said, no, we got our team. She joined Bernie Sanders.
So you're saying that it was basically political. She wanted to be on the squad. Biden said we had enough, so she went to Bernie Sanders.
Okay, so I thought she was always in Bernie Sanders' camp.
No. When it first started out, Nina went to Biden camp. Biden camp said, we got all our people in line. You just can be a supporter, no position. She got with Cornel West.
Ooh.
Cornel West introduced her to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders hired her because Dr. West said, I don't want to be a board member, I don't want to be on your team, but I'm going to back you. They gave her that position as co-chair of Biden team. This the problem that happened. She did not campaign in the Black community. She campaigned in the white. He hired her to come to us. She was scared to come to the hood.
See, the thing is that we cannot make this an issue of personality. Like, I don't like Biden. We don't have to marry Biden.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
we don't have to like
Thank
him. But what we do have to do is unify. And
Yeah.
so the problem with I'm not voting for Biden means that you're voting for Trump. That's the problem of that.
You see, her name carry weight. Is she not just anybody hanging on a corner drinking wine?
Right, and
Maybe smoking some weed.
Dr. Boyce Watkins, and he holds a lot of power, and
You understand what I'm saying?
good many followers. And so, and we have a lot of our people who did not vote, believe it or not, who did not vote still, because they don't really like Biden. Okay, and so it goes right back to, you don't have to like him, but we have to agree to disagree, and we need to come together on the things that we have in common. All right, and if they're not sharing a commonality with us, then we need to introduce it to them by way of our concerns, and we need to hold them accountable. It's high time that government be
Lisa.
of the people, for the people, and by the people.
There you go.
I'm ready to fire everybody.
That's right, Lisa.
Until we get it right. Until freedom, and until we get it right, we really, 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 we have to actualize. We have to enliven by the people, for the people.
I would like.
This is crazy.
I would really like. I know this may be a little controversial, but I will say that if people are wondering why the Democratic Party always says that Black people are the heart and soul of the party, it's because Black people are the ones that's putting Biden over the finish line right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for us, they can't count on no other people like they can count on us. So when other people hear it on the TV screen, or they hear it on the radio, or what have you, and I don't want anybody out there to get jealous. I don't want people out there, well, why are they always catering and why are they always this? Why are they always? It's because that they know that, and more specifically, they know that the Black woman has stood in the gap and has always cast them votes. And I'm saying, I think that our men have to look at the situation. We have to look at how our women have always been there for us. When we were in trouble, when we were, there's a certain population of Black men that have been incarcerated. And it's Black women that have come to those incarceration areas, visited us. They have stood in the gap, raised our kids. Black men have to look at those things, be mindful, and step up. Now, I don't want to down any of our Black men out there. I'm not one of those guys that's going to be out, to keep saying, no. What I am saying is that the situation has to be looked at carefully by Black men. And we have to understand the situation. And we have to step up. And Black women have stood in the gap for us for a long. Now it's time for us to stand up as well and hold that flag up. One of the things that I think is that should be pointed out is that we see how the Cubans in Florida, how they went for Trump overwhelmingly, based on the issue of socialism.
I'm gonna tell you about that. When you get through, I'm gonna tell you what the real fight was.
And I feel like
I'm gonna tell you.
there's a whole thing about that, but also obviously I believe there's what 5 point something million Puerto Ricans in this country, and basically what I'm saying is the Latino vote also came out in the area of Pennsylvania, because that's what most of they're located there in Pennsylvania, New York, uh, and I think Nevada or one of those other states like that. I just brought that issue up though to ask what can we do uh, to convince our Cuban brothers and sisters in Florida, because Florida is a swing state, and if you recall, uh, uh, the governor right now, what's the governor of Florida's name again? Anyway, he ran his race against the Gillum. Gillum lost that race. Florida is again a swing state. What do you guys think about trying to convince
Cuba, first of all, that fight have nothing to do with Cuba, really, and communism. Those people from Cuba, the Cuban Hispanics are Latinos, and the Mexicans from Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua, they are at war economically. This is not a physical war like violence. Those Mexican people is coming into Havana, Cuba, and they just buying up all the businesses. They're taking up all the wealth. And those Cubans see them as a threat. It's a similar thing. Like like down south, the high yellow Creoles comes in and take over all the businesses in the black community. And the black people like us, we cleaning the floors, picking up trash, and doing all the garbage dumping and all that. There's a fight. I talked to a Mexican. Cubans don't like Mexicans.
And so you're basically saying that's the reason why they're voting for
That's the reason why Cubans are against DACA. You know what DACA means, right? That's for the young college, Mexican college, right? The Cubans is opposed to DACA. You know why? Because Mexicans are economically inclined. They'll come in your town and they'll open up businesses. Them Cubans are afraid of an economic decline in over there in Havana. Look, it's more than just communism, that lion spirit against communism. It's economic war, not physical. They ain't fighting each other physical. They fighting economically. That's what we got to understand. Now you go do your research, go talk to some Mexicans and say, you know what you think about the Cuba? They don't like us. They don't like us.
I believe
That Cuba thing is a lie.
I believe that is very likely because we know that we have colorism within our own Black community. With the focus on Florida, wasn't it still like, wasn't it surprising still?
He won Florida. He won Florida.
It absolutely was surprising because my thing is where the hell has everybody been for 4 years?
Right. And matter of fact, it was the quote of Ralph Ellison, who said, "Americans are notoriously selective in our exercise of historical memory." And that was so true and reflective of the Hispanic community in Florida. Now, but you know what? Once again, the Biden camp fell short in their messaging.
I think so too.
Right, because if you are prepared to be the president of America, then you have to know the concerns, not just of your faithful elder, Black voters, not just of your faithful women voters, but you need to keep an eye and you need to have the ears of your heart open and listening to Black men. You need to have the ears of your heart open and listening to the fears of the Hispanic community who, when Trump is saying that Biden is a socialist, okay, that sends all kinds of fear flags and red flags, and it sends them fleeing toward Trump.
Let me give you the political reason why they are opposed to Biden.
Okay.
It was the Cuban-American Accord that Barack signed. When Barack, he weakened the sanctions against Cuba, him and Joe Biden.
Reverend going in deep now. Go ahead.
See what he did? They got with Raul Castro because his brother was sick, and they signed this accord. They allowed casinos, developers went to Cuba and built big skyscrapers and casinos along the Caribbean Sea. The Cubans didn't like that because if, in fact, America and Cuba form an alliance, they lose their status. When they flee over here, they're gonna be deported. There's a law on the books in Washington that say if a Cuban flee Cuba, they automatically are given asylums. It'll be deported, or placed in cages, or beaten, or shot at the border. So the Cubans are afraid of this accord. So you gotta go back and look at those laws on the book that Obama signed.
Right, right.
Do you
I
know,
remember that.
do you know you can travel to Cuba now? You can travel to Cuba now. You can invest in hotels, grocery store, retail shop, car dealership, all that. Because Obama said, you know what? This communist crap. And Fidel Castro, actually, he supported a lot of Black folks in Angola and all that. He helped the Sandinistas. He helped all these people. Castro did a lot of good things. And so the word communism meaning he was involved in the Russia was an ally to Cuba. And when they tried to do the Bay of Pigs, y'all remember? And Kennedy and all that, try to invade Cuba, and Russia moved those ships out there in the Caribbean Sea. Say, you know what? Go on and invade us. We're gonna release an atomic bomb on y'all butt and blow America up. So what Kennedy did, he pulled back. That's when America signed that bill saying any Cuban, free Cuba, had a right to live in America. No deportation. That's what they're scared of.